Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our webinar. I'm Dean Richmond, the Senior Director of Marketing, and I am joined today by Victor Mejia, our Product Manager. We're really excited to talk about the latest and greatest in our public safety ERCES solutions. We've got a product introduction. If you're not following us on social media, we've announced the Selfie Solo Red, some new additions to the Quattro Red family and some advancements there. And we're going to go over all of that with you today. But before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and go over some of the basics that we do. If you're new to us, I see that you're already using the chat panel. We have a chat and we have Q&A right there. If you have a question, feel free to go ahead and ask a question. I've got Joe Google in the background answering questions, and then we'll kind of be curating some of this, and as we see fit. And if we have time, we're going to be putting some of these questions in throughout Victor's talk, and we'll try to cover as much as we can at the end. If you have a question that you don't want the whole world to see, or it's just something that pops in your head afterwards, you can always email us at uscan@selfie.com, and we're happy to get back with you there as well. This webinar is recorded like always, and we do put this in a PDF and give that to our sales reps. If you would like a copy, contact your sales rep. If you don't have a sales rep yet, contact us about that, and we'd love to work with you. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm kind of cue this up. We're live in Las Vegas right now. Victor and I are going to be at the show this morning. The show starts at 10 at IWCE. So we're very excited to see you there if you're here local. If not, we're going to be covering all the things here. So let's talk about public safety. Obviously, there's been a huge need for safety communication. It's a huge part of what our fire department, police department, and emergency officials use each and every day. That's on the LMR bands. But in the last several years, there's been more and more advancement on the cellular side as well, where they're using the push to talk to communicate with each other in the field. They are using cellular for things like drones and body cameras and monitoring tools. And FirstNet has been the solution that the government has been working on with AT&T and setting that up. Obviously, other carriers are doing public safety as well. And we are somewhat agnostic there. We support all carriers across the world, but we do have integrated FirstNet in several of our products. So why do you need equipment? For those that are new to the show, the agencies and the mentioned FirstNet and other carriers have done a great job at putting towers up and really improving density around your cities. But the building itself blocks the signals, that rebar, that brick, the wood, all of it, that blocks RF. So you do need something in many cases, not in all, but the bigger the building, the more likely you're going to need it. If it's a smaller building and you got a lot of windows and open spaces, maybe you don't need it, but that is what a site walk is gonna tell you. So this is something that is required though that you have that communication capability. So that segues into the requirement itself. The code and how it's set up does require ERCS systems for buildings in certain instances. Every jurisdiction has their own set of rules. This does have a national guideline that we'll hit in just a second as well. But ultimately, the national guideline is telling you that your emergency professionals need to be able to transmit and receive messages in and out of buildings. We need, in the event of emergency, the ability to communicate. That is all within the codes of, and there's been a ton of advancements in the last 5 years in NFPA 1221 and FPA 1, IFC 510, UL 2524, and the FirstNet Authority itself in some of the things they've put out there. So a ton of advancements out there, and companies are challenged with bringing the latest technology to stay up with the code. And at the same time, building owners are required to adhere to this code that, again, is issued not only on the national level, but the local level, and your AHJs are governing over that. So you're all familiar with fire alarms and water sprinklers. This is all part of that code as well. So let's talk about the needs of the installers themselves. So we've been on this journey for almost 5 years, getting into the public safety emergency response space. And we've been working with and listening to partners. But just about a year ago, we put out our first ERCS system, which was the Quattro Red. And always listening, always trying to improve. When we designed the product in the first place, it was with the feedback before we launched the product. But we've heard what you have said, we've heard the problems, and now that we're in the community each and every day, we're listening to you, and we're trying to make sure that our products reflect all of the needs of today. So first and foremost, obviously, these codes are changing. Our product needs to be code compliant, and it needs to have all the latest built in. And Victor's going to be going over what our solution is, but we're definitely meeting and exceeding the code requirements. The other big piece of feedback that we've gotten is the solution needs to be easier to install in the industry. A lot of these systems out there are not that easy, require a lot of tweaking, and they're not foolproof, and there is a need there. And when we put out Quattro Red, it was that next step. A lot of that RF work is done for you as the installer out there. A lot of that heavy lifting has been done for you. And we've only gotten better with this. And Victor's going to be going over some of those advancements with you of why we are doing what we're doing and how it makes your life easier. Then the next and final point that we have definitely hit on was the no noise, and Victor's going to spend quite a lot of time on there. Our products in general need to be unconditionally network safe. We've heard a lot of problems in existence out there with other solutions out there creating noise, and we have a great solution around that as well. So up to this point, we've really, in our product lineup, I mentioned the Quattro Red. We have a Class A and a B product with integrated FirstNet. That is a DAS solution. And then on the FirstNet side of the house, we have the Selfi Go Red and the Quattro 1000 FN. And that is not an ERCS solution, either one of those. These are FirstNet only solutions for in-field communications on one side with the Go Red or in things like firehouses and police stations, we've done a ton there. And then some of the bigger buildings, your three-letter agencies and things like that, that people that are carrying around FirstNet phones, there is a solution there, both on the enterprise side and then on portable and in-building, the in-building side as well. So today, we're happy to announce the new half-watt solution, the Selfi Solo Red, our first public safety BDA solution. We're super excited to talk about the detail there, and Victor's going to do that. And on the Quattro Red side, we have several new components, and one is a feature one. There's 3 in total, but one's a feature one, which is the Quattro Red Fiber Range Extender. Earlier this year, we announced, I think in the month of June, our fiber range extenders for our cellular side. Now we have it on the public safety side, and that allows you to go into those campus configurations or large buildings, into skyscrapers, just multi-building campus areas as well. So super excited to go over that detail. But it's not just a hardware story, and Victor's going to start us out on a journey of why Nextivity is different in our public safety lineup. And it's really all about all the things that we're making your life easier and really to ensure the quality of the system. It starts in those planning tools, but that no noise guarantees. And there's several elements in that no noise guarantee that we'll be hitting. The talk out and the grid testing that is innate in the product. All of this leading to a faster path of acceptance and a certificate of occupancy for that building owner. And we all know that that is what's driving this. So it goes without saying, we're the industry leader in our performance capability. It's from inception designed to be easy to install, and it's all built in the backbone of Selfi Wave and the end-to-end monitoring capability that is achieved there. So with that, we're excited to announce these products and take you through the details. Victor, are you ready to take them through the details this morning?
I am, Dean, and thank you very much to you and to all the attendees this morning. As you mentioned, we are making this live in Vegas. After the show, you will be, if you are attending the show, we'll have some of these products in our booth, and we can continue the conversation there. And well, over the last 2 years, we have worked hand in hand with key stakeholders in the public safety industry, listening to their needs and recommendations to build a product that satisfied not only the requirements in the code, but also, well, at the same time, solve issues that concern the people who install, supervise, and use this equipment. On the hardware side, we had made significant changes based on feedback from customers who are new to our technology, and but also those who had been users of Cell-Fi products for a long time ago. We had met with influential HJs, and also we have established a partnership with top companies to supply some elements that works with our platform. We will talk more about them further in this webinar, but I want to highlight the fact that our company listen to your needs and act in consequence. And I'm going to walk you through these hardware changes and introduce new hardware as well that expands our public safety portfolio. On the software side, we have introduced some features that you won't find in any other public safety device. These are listed in the picture here, and we'll cover each of them in detail later on. My goal in this webinar is not exclusively to present the new hardware and software, but also to answer all your questions. So as Dean said, please feel free to use the chat window, and we'll try to answer all of them during this presentation. As part of our effort and commitment to developing products that are network friendly, and this is something we have proved with our technology on the cellular side. We have developed a group of features specifically created to eliminate the risk of generating or injecting noise into public safety networks. The no noise guarantee is a set of features to assist system integrators during the commissioning of ERCES, that's Emergency Responder Communications Enhancement Systems, to integrate Cell-Fi bidirectional amplifiers with total confidence that what they are doing is not going to interfere with the operation of the network, and not only during the commissioning phase, but also over time, ensuring that the performance of the BDA and the network is always optimal. So let's review the core elements, starting with the automatic setting of uplink transmit power. So one of the most critical steps when commissioning a public safety BDA is setting up the communication link between the BDA and the remote tower. This process usually requires technicians with advanced skills in RF and also the use of special gear to measure and monitor the signal traveling to the remote side, to the remote tower. The reason I said it's critical, it's a critical step, is that an error in the calculation can jeopardize the performance of the whole network. To eliminate this risk, the software integrated with QuadraRed and SolarRed will take care of all the calculation to set the correct parameters to reach the remote tower at an adequate level. Once the link is established, the uplink signal level is constantly monitored and adjusted based on the conditions of the RF environment. And this represents a substantial reduction in time and resources compared to traditional BDAs. The automatic calculation and setting of isolation and downlink, similarly to the way the uplink channel is calculated and set. The smarts in Quadra and SolarRed are are capable of doing the same in the downlink direction. To prevent that the signal from the server antennas is received by the donor antenna, this will create a phenomenon called oscillation. Is just like when you place a microphone near to a speaker and you start listening to a high-pitched sound, a high-gain downlink. I mean, a downlink that is high in gain can also create interference that is received by the donor antenna. And a minimum value of 20 dB is needed to avoid oscillation. And with traditional BDAs, you have to turn knobs manually until you achieve this value. But if the conditions change, you have to tweak the knobs again. And all this is automatically done within Quadra and SolarRed. So if the RF conditions change, the system will adjust gain setting itself to maintain the 20 dB required by code. If there is a jurisdiction requiring a different isolation value, we can set it by entering the new value in the web app. We'll talk more about the web app later. Later this year, we'll launch a software update to allow Cell-Fi public safety systems to detect the presence of time delay interference, or TDI. TDI is a form of interference that happens when a copy of the original signal is received by the donor antenna at a different time. Some delay is tolerated by the system, but if the delay overpass a certain level, can cause the total cancellation of the original signal, and preventing a radio to establish a reliable communication channel with the remote side. The TDI detection, this feature will alert of this non-desired condition, so the integrator or the person responsible for maintenance of can track the source of the problem to correct this behavior. And we are going to keep you posted when the software update that includes this feature is available. And Cell-Fi Web Pro. Cell-Fi Web Pro, where you're looking at right now are some screenshot of our mobile application Wave Pro, which is the user interface for Quadra and SolarRed, and is available for download for free through the Apple and Google Play stores. With the Wave Pro app, you can do the commissioning of the system. You can also do antenna aiming, generate signal reports, and perform a grid test as well. I will talk about the grid test and talk out test as well next. Cell-Fi is the Cell-Fi Wave is the cloud-based software platform from which Cell-Fi apps and connected capabilities are hosted and driven. The current generation of Cell-Fi products include embedded connectivity technology that allows them to communicate with the Wave cloud. The Wave portal and apps are used to facilitate registration, commissioning, installation, also the optimization, and also important, the troubleshooting. So before you roll out a truck to figure out what is the situation with a particular system, you can connect to the Wave platform and have a complete overview of this system to make sure it's correctly configured and up to date. The talk out guarantee, well, is using the WebPro app and a commercial two-way radio. You can measure the performance of your uplink channel. The way this works is you will stand up underneath an antenna and key up the two-way radio. The signal from this radio is going to be measured and translated to the actual LMR, land mobile radio, 700 or 800 frequencies. You'll have to do this with each antenna in the building, and the results are going to be stored and processed in the cloud, and a report can be generated as well. This will give you the confidence that once the HCA is on site to perform the real test with the actual radius, your system will pass the very first time. The grid test is another part of the acceptance protocol from the HJ, and is to ensure that adequate coverage is achieved in general and critical areas. The way this test is performed, its most basic form is, well, you divide your floor plan into 20 grids, and the RF signal has to reach at least neg 95 dBm and 95% of the target area. It is important also to mention that you will need a compass with the Compass Red attachment to perform this test. If you want to learn more about Compass and Compass Red, we have a full webinar where we talk about them in detail. You can also generate a report, same fashion as with the uplink channel. This report, you can use it as part of your as-built, and Quadra and SolarRed support this feature out of the box. One of the biggest advantages that you will find in our public safety solutions is how easy you can do the commissioning and optimization of a system. This can be done literally by pressing a button on the WebPro app, and all the information previously entered in the web portal is going to be transferred to the system, and in a matter of minutes, you will have your BDA, your ERCS up and running. Our goal is to get you in and out of the building as soon as possible to get your certificate of occupancy. So another advantage is that Selfie Red, it's a completely open solution, meaning it is compatible with third-party components such as, excuse me, such as battery backup units, donor server antennas, and power-off solutions. We have partnered with key leaders in these respective sectors to make our solution open and more flexible. So that's all on the software side. Dean, I don't know if there is any questions want to answer before we jump into the hardware.
There have been a couple of questions. One's not anything specific, was, when will these new toys be on the Selfie University platform? We generally don't release the training modules until it is closer to the release of the product itself. And that's, Victor's going to mention at the end, that's January is when these will be going out. So generally time that module with that or in and around it. And the next one was not about a product, the software, but I had mentioned the Selfie Go Red, and there were some questions on whether you could use it in more of a marine setting, and which we could do that. We just definitely would want to talk to you about that. We can make that happen.
Cool, thank you.
And one other, now we started the questions. We got a few more. They see that our product is 700, 800. What about the 136 to 174 range? And thoughts, plans?
Yeah, UHF, VHF. We're going to focus. I mean, we're focusing on what's the highest percentage of the requirements nationwide, which I'll say starting with 800. 800 is probably 50% of the requirements for frequency channels are going to be on this band, followed by 700, which will be probably 25%. Though these two are the majority of the frequencies required and on these public safety markets. UHF and VHF is something we are paying attention to what's happening in that area. There is no more information I can right now, but stay tuned. We'll get provide more information as we get feedback from the market.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and let you get into the hardware, and I'm going to we'll address the other questions near the end.
Perfect. So there's a lot that we need to cover today. We have a new product, which is Selfie Solar Red, and we have performed some changes and introducing also new components for Quattro Red to make the solution open and even more flexible. The solution was already flexible. You can scale from 1 to up to 12 watts for buildings up to almost roughly 4 million square feet. And I always start with Quattro Red because this is I think people are more familiar with this solution. And if you are new to this, I will mention some of the key features and elements on this solution. So Quattro Red is scalable. It's a scalable solution. You can just add more CUs as you need it. So each network unit is capable. It supports up to 6 CUs, and each CU is 1 watt per band. The network unit, it supports the network and coverage unit support LMR on 700 and 800, but also support FirstNet, not only on band 14, but all the bands in the FirstNet spectrum. The solution is available in both Class A and Class B, and well, you can switch classes if you want to as well. We have now an integrated management unit that it takes care of all the calculation, and all the smarts are in there so you can perform all the tests that I mentioned before, like the automatic isolation, calculation and set of uplink and downlink as well, the toll code guarantee, etc. The main components of WaterRed are the network unit, which is equivalent to the head end in the traditional DAS lingo, is where you connect your donor antennas. And at the bottom, you will have RJ45 connectors to attach the coverage units. So the connection between these two is through category cable, which make it is more easier to manage and to install versus coax cable. It is also less expensive and well easier to troubleshoot, and that translate into faster installation and commissioning. The network, the coverage unit connects to the network unit, and you can attach up to 6 of these. Each of these are 1 watt per band, and combine LMR and FirstNet with a single RF output. There's on the top of the unit is N type female connector. One of the greatest things that our customers and user of WaterRed, one of the greatest advantages they are seeing here is that the power to power up the coverage unit, there's no need for a battery backup unit on each remote location. Everything is centralized. The battery backup unit will provide power to all the components in the system, including the coverage unit and related accessories as well. What is new is the management unit, aka the controller. It connects, everything connects to this hub, and it's the management unit will control all the functions and all the features that you can perform on the system. Also as well, the management unit is where you can connect the remote annunciator. And by the way, what we are seeing here is a set of accessories that are 100% compatible with, well, we'll take that back. These are all 100%, but also the third-party components will be 100% compatible. So compatibility is not an issue. It's an open solution. And going back to the management unit, you can attach your power off switch as well. You can use our power off switch. You can use a third-party power off as well. On the server antenna side, you can also use any server antenna that covers the LMR spectrum, RF spectrum, and the donor antenna side as well. You can connect any donor antenna. If there are some high wind requirements and you need a particular antenna working with the system, we support that. So there's no more limitation on that end. New accessories, we have, as I said, we have separated all the smart, all the hub and electronics that were previously on the MBBU. We have separate that from the battery backup unit. So right now you have a battery backup unit that does all the battery management and battery charging. And most important, well, equally important, is that we now have a fiber range extender. We introduced our fiber solution on our cellular product, Quadra 1000, 2000, and 4000. Now that fiber capabilities are also available for Quadra Red. I'm going to expand more about this in next slides. So Quadra, how Quadra Red works with the fiber QRE, fiber range extender, is that each fiber extender supports 2 coverage units. So you need one range extender on the NU side and a second unit on the CU side. These 2 components are sold in pairs, and you have to order the 2 of them. So if you order one, the solution won't work. You need 2 of them. We have different model numbers for the NU side and the CU side. It has looks similar from the outside, but it has some slightly differences on the way, on the design, and also on the operation of the unit. You can extend the distance between the network unit and the coverage units almost up to 2 kilometers or one over at least a little bit over 1 mile. So if you have or you need coverage unit on a separate building, you can do that with using fiber. By using hybrid cable, which is cable that it has fiber and copper inside the same shield, and the cable has fiber and copper. You can remotely power up the coverage unit as well without requiring a battery backup on the CU side. So that we think that's a huge advantage when deploying this type of solution. Quadra Red can be configured as a 1 watt, 2 watt, and more. You can cover up to almost 4 million square feet with 12 watt in a 12 watt fiber configuration. These configuration are listed here. We have the 1 and 2 watt configuration. We call it the BDA configuration. The 3 to 6 watt, it would be our DAS configuration. And we have a campus configuration. You can use fiber range extender to do that. Super happy to announce that we have now, and this is something we were asked to make part of our public safety portfolio, is Solar Red. Solar Red is a half watt solution. It's half watt for on each LMR band. There is no LTE involved here, so it's exclusively 700 and 800 bands. Our intent is make this solution the perfect fit for middle price buildings, buildings that only require coverage on certain areas or just small buildings in general. It's going to be available also in Class A and Class B devices. And it has all the previously described functions: isolation, uplink, downlink, talkout guarantee. Everything will be supported also by Solar Red. And it is compatible with accessories. So things like the remote annunciator, power off switch, active antennas are not only compatible with Quadra Red, or are also compatible with Solar Red as well. Solar Red It's an open solution, same fashion as Quattro Red. So you can use third-party components, batteries, or other powered off devices as well. And you can use a battery backup unit of your preference, or you can use our battery backup unit that we have available. The architecture is pretty straightforward. So you have donor antenna that grabs the signal from the outside the building, injected into the BDA. The BDA will process that signal, will amplify it, and server port, it will distribute this signal throughout all the antennas installed inside the building. The remote annunciator and emergency power off switch are optional. Not all the jurisdiction in the US require these two components, but these are available. And just make sure the local ordinance, if any of these two are required, make sure that you include this in your BOM. With the half watt configuration with the Solar Red is capable, we're capable to cover roughly 200,000 square feet. One thing I like to mention is that our products are, and this is part of the no noise guarantee that we have in place, is that if there is a scenario when you need to install a Quattro Red or a Solar Red together with a commercial LTE solution like Quattro 1000, 2000, or 4000, these two solutions can coexist without interfering to each other. They sense the signals are present inside and outside the building and make all the necessary adjustment to avoid any kind of interference. With traditional BDAs, usually you will need external filters, passband filters, notch filters to mitigate this noise and interference. If you are using Quattro for both public safety and commercial applications, you will need these additional filters, which represent an extra cost for your project, and this may be impacting also your budget, right? Well,
all right.
I covered a lot.
Yeah. So now we're going to get into some of the hardware questions. First up is on the Solo that you just hit. The question is, how does that, or does that connect in with to the fire panel? How does that work? If you want to go back to that diagram, you can kind of point that out.
Yes.
Right there.
In this example, we are using a remote annunciator. It's going to be the interface between the BDA and the main fire control panel. Usually, and I mentioned this annunciator panel is optional. So the BDA on the front, it has also a built-in annunciator panel. And the BDA has a Form C cable that can connect to the main fire alarm control panel directly. On the other end, you will have your 28 cable pairs that you can connect to the main fire alarm panel. Doesn't matter if it's normally open or normally closed. We support these configurations. If the main I mean, if the BDA and the main fire alarm control panel are in separate sections of the building, you may require the annunciator panel. And what we are seeing here is on one side, on the left side, the connection between the BDA and the remote annunciator is by using Ethernet cable. It's plug and play. The BDA will detect the remote annunciator. You don't have to configure anything. On the other end, the remote annunciator has also a pin connector you attach to the remote annunciator, and from there you do the same thing, connect to the fire alarm panel with cable pairs that are provided with the unit. So everything is included in the box. There is no extra things you need to acquire from some other place, and is basically these two ways you can connect the BDA to the fire alarm control panel.
So staying with the Solo Red, you know, does the Solo Red have any ability to work in the 450 megahertz bands? Does it sniff that a bit and process anything there, or is it just the 700, 800?
Well, that's a great question, and that may be some confusion. I want to clarify that I mean, for the requirements to enhance 700 and 800, we support 700 and 800. The unit doesn't support UHF or VHF. Those are not supported by Solo Red, but we have a UHF sniffer that helps us to perform the Talcott test, but it doesn't mean that we support UHF bands here. The UHF is just a tool. The UHF sniffer is only a tool that we use so you can use a commercial way radio to measure the performance of your system, and that's it. The unit exclusively supports 700 and 800 bands.
Okay. Then if you could go to the diagram on the Quattro Red, we had some questions around maybe this one and the next slide. You can answer both. So first question is around the need for two fiber range extenders. Why do you need two and not one? Is this due to signal conversion is the question?
Yeah, exactly. We need two because these are merely media converter that are I mean, complies with fire codes and all the requirements by NFPA, UL 2524, etc. These fiber range extender are NEMA4 rated. And the reason why we need two is because we need to convert the signal that is coming out from the network unit in the form of category cable. And then on the other end, we convert it's no longer category cable, it's going to be fiber. And on the other end, on the different building, different side of different area, we'll do the opposite. We do the conversion from fiber optic to category cable. Again, that's the reason why we need two individual components to make this solution works.
And the need for power between the two of them?
Yes, well, you want to power off your CUs remotely, you will also run a copper cable with the fiber. This could be by using a hybrid cable or separate cables as well are supported. You can use fiber cable that you normally use, or we see in other DAS solution from other manufacturers. So it's still an open solution. We don't need a specific brand or a specific I mean, single mode, mono mode, multi-mode fiber. Yes, we can use whatever is already deployed on the field, and you just need to select the SFP Plus module that are compatible with fiber that you're using, and you will have data connections to the coverage unit. And the copper cable is going to provide power to the coverage unit on the other end. That's mainly the reason why we need fiber and copper cable.
Right. And we in the future maybe could do some local power if in that second building. I know that's been discussed.
Yes, yeah, I know we already have seen some jurisdiction are okay with powering out the CUs on the other end with a BBU solution. And again, yes, you can attach a BBU on the other end to power off the CUs. So I'm trying to explain just the most common scenarios here, but yes, there are some things you can work around, and I mean, the solution is flexible not only on the type of components we use, but it's also flexible on the way these configurations can work, but in any specific scenario. If you have a project already going on and you think this could be a good solution for you, please contact us and we can go over the details of your project.
Yep. And I know we're at 2 minutes till, and we had a few more slides. Why don't we just quickly advance through? Basically, just wanted to. We've talked about this one before. It's a manufacturing solution that was both Quattro Red and Quattro 4000. Next slide. A school that was a Quattro Red, a solution in the Southeast. Keep going. Some corporate offices that again was Quattro 4000, Quattro Red in the Southeast. A hotel in the Florida area. Basically, they were super happy. It was a super quick install for them. A healthcare facility. Keep going. A distribution center, and then a convention center. Keep going. Remote area needed some support, and then I wanted to end basically on this one. Victor, I guess you want to talk about the availability date on the new stuff.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, on the new stuff, what you see here, all the components are red. It's in BBU. I mean the BBU and the management unit, and the battery backup for Quattro Red, along with the fiber range extender. Everything is going to be available in January next year. That's our goal. We're working super hard on making that happen.
And we had a question around pricing. You'll work with your local, your distributor, one of our masters on that as well, and your sales reps on that piece. Again, availability is in January on this. We have Quattro Red currently, of course, so you can continue to build out with that one. But the new components will be just a little bit longer. So with that, I want to thank you all for joining us today, and thank you, Victor, for giving all this great information. We are super excited. In a few minutes, we are headed over to IWCE across the street here. So Victor and I will see you in person if you're here locally. If not, feel free to reach out to us, reach out to your sales rep, even better. And we appreciate your partnership. Thanks, Victor.
Thank you, Dean, and thank you to all the attendees today.